Hi there. My name is Tom Woodford. I am the college counselor with Hilliard City Schools. This video is for families who were not able to make the meeting earlier this week. We're going to talk about college planning and for middle school students prior to getting to high school. And so at any time, families would like to meet, feel free to reach out. I would love to schedule a time to meet with you. So let's go ahead and get started. Why are we here today? Your kids haven't even made it to high school yet. I've been in education for 34 years, and so many times over the years, I've talked to families about, I wish about college and things like that, and I get responses with, I wish I would have known. I wish we would have known about volunteering and service and leadership and being active in school activities and out of school activities. I wish I would have known about that much sooner. And so that is the reason why that we are here today, is to make sure that our students understand this process early on, as well as parents. And so we're going to talk about understanding how college works and how the application works, and what students can do to prepare at a very young age. We're going to go over high school terms and college terms. We're going to talk about advanced placement and what that means. We're going to talk about College Credit Plus and what that means for students as well. We're going to talk about creating an activity plan. We're going to talk about standardized testing, that because it is still a thing, but we're going to talk about all of those types of things so everybody has a clearer picture of what the end might be in 5 years or so, working through this whole process. So I think it's also important too to let you know where are our students going. So our students in Hilliard schools are going to almost all of the Big Ten schools. We have kids at almost all of the Ivy League schools right now. I've had an opportunity to go to the Boston area a few years ago, and while I was there, I had an opportunity to meet our Hilliard students at MIT and Harvard and Northeastern. I was able to take them out for breakfast, and with that, they gave me a tour of their campus. And so it was really exciting seeing our Hilliard students on these just really cool places. I actually had an opportunity, the young man that gave me a tour at MIT, he actually took me to class, and so I sat in on a stats course. That was very exciting. And so it is just really neat seeing our students go to schools all over the country, Ivy Leagues, Ivy-like type of schools like WashU, Stanford, Georgetown, Vanderbilt, and schools like that. We also have a lot of students at all of the private schools in the state of Ohio, as well as the public schools. And then occasionally we have students that go to school up in Canada or go overseas. We had one graduate a few years back from a school in Germany. And so it is very exciting to see where our students go. So let's talk about Ohio State just briefly. Ohio State today is not the Ohio State in the past. And I get asked about Ohio State all of the time. We've been raised in the shadows of OSU's campus. And so let's just understand what this year looked like this fall. Ohio State had over 80,000 applications. They will bring in a freshman class next fall of right around 8,000 students. The average ACT score is a 29.7. The average SAT score is a 1385. That's very different than back in the day, or back in my day, when if you lived in the state of Ohio and you applied to Ohio State main campus and you had a pulse and you had a checkbook, you could be a Buckeye for life. And so getting into Ohio State is very different today. And so it's just important that we understand that. Ohio State has been test optional for the last 3 or 4 years. I do think it's important when we look at those 80,000 applications, 40% of those students applied with test scores. And so, but more than half of the kids getting in had test scores. So even though they are test optional, Ohio State is still valuing test scores. So the ACT and SAT are still a thing. We read a lot about test optional, and we're going to talk about that. But the ACT and the SAT each are offered 7 times each school year on national testing dates. Pardon me. And so our students still take these tests. There are a lot of schools that are going back to requiring them. I get asked every year which test is best. Every school in the country uses both tests. One is not more important than the other. The only time that these tests are not used are for state schools in the state of California, because they are test blind, legislatively driven there, that they are not allowed to use test scores in for the public schools in the state of California. My advice for students is to begin to take these tests maybe after their sophomore year, early junior year, but also to look at the math class that they're in. I would encourage students to complete Algebra 2. When I look at ACT, there's 60 math questions. Between 9 and 12 of them are Algebra 2 type. 4 of them are trig, which kids get in the spring of their junior year in Algebra 2. So having Algebra 2 is very important. The students that are in pre-calculus, calculus, stats, and things like that, none of the things that they're learning or the skills that they're learning in those classes will be on the ACT or the SAT. So that's why I find Algebra 2 to be very important in when students take these tests. So ACT and SAT are very different. They've become a little bit similar in the terminology that is used on these tests. The ACT is made up of English, reading, math, and science. So math is worth 25% of the total score. The highest score students can get on an ACT is a 36. The SAT is made up of critical reading and math. So math is made up of half of the SAT. The highest score students can get on the SAT is a 1600, and the SAT has moved to a digital test now, so it's only offered digitally. So what do we do to help students prepare for these tests? So all 10th grade students will take the 10th grade version of the PSAT, and they fall in the fall of their sophomore year. Juniors will also take the PSAT in the fall of their junior year. They will have an opportunity to do that. They will have to pay for that test. There is a small fee of around $25 for that test. Prior to the PSAT for juniors, I will host a PSAT boot camp. This year I did that on back-to-back Monday evenings in the fall, and we had 125 kids come to those because the PSAT is the test that's used for National Merit Scholarship. And so we will give opportunities for students to prepare for that test. And so we encourage our juniors to take that PSAT as well. And then in the spring of junior year, Hilliard City Schools will pay for an SAT for students to take. Prior to that SAT, typically in the month of February, Hilliard City Schools will host an SAT boot camp at each of the 3 high schools that is free for our juniors. It'll be from 8 to noon, paid for by Hilliard City Schools to help students prepare for that test. And then typically the first week of June every year, I will also offer an ACT boot camp for students who would like to prepare for the ACT as well. So what is test optional? We hear a lot about this. Many colleges move to a test optional policy during COVID, but even prior to COVID, test optional was a movement. Perfect example is the University of Chicago. They've been test optional now for over 4 years. They made that move a year prior to COVID. Schools like Wake Forest, they've been test optional for 17 years. Denison University here in Ohio, they've been test optional for 15 years or so. And so what does that mean? That means students can take the ACT and the SAT. If they feel like their standardized test scores do not match the type of student that they are, then they have the opportunity to apply to many colleges without sending test scores. Now, there are some schools that are moving back to requiring test scores. Last year, MIT, as well as the University of Tennessee, required those scores. Over the past week, schools like Harvard and Caltech have gone back to requiring ACT and SAT as well. And so it's important to ask, as students visit various colleges, that they ask their testing policies. So planning ahead is very important. So it's important to understand that 7th and 8th grade students, even though they might be taking a high school course, they have not started a high school GPA yet. But it's also important to understand that those high school courses and those grades will appear on a high school transcript. Once students come to high school, cumulative GPA is calculated in January and June. 9 weeks grades are not a part of the cumulative GPA, but it is important that all freshmen in high school will have a cumulative GPA after the first semester. Volunteering and service is something that students can begin to think about and begin to start doing this summer as they register for classes for next year. And every year, it's important that they challenge themselves with AP courses, honors courses, as well as be informed about College Credit Plus opportunities. And we will talk more about those. Visiting colleges, I think, is something students can begin to do as early as their freshman year, as well as we will have over 100 college reps come to each of our 3 high schools in the fall, and students have opportunities to sign up and meet with those college reps there as well. As students begin to transition to high school, I think it's important that students begin to think about joining clubs in school. I would encourage students to join 1 or 2 clubs when they get to high school with the intent to take on a leadership role in 1 or both of those clubs during their junior and or senior year. And then I will inform parents and students of summer opportunities for students. A lot of colleges offer camps, not only athletic camps, but a lot of colleges offer opportunities for students, a camp in engineering, a camp in leadership, a camp in mathematics, and things like that. And so once your students get to high school, parents and students will receive a weekly email from me called College News. And included in that email are upcoming events, newspaper articles, college opportunities for students, camp opportunities, as well as just upcoming events and things like that. Important terms. As your kids get to high school, it's important that everybody understands the jargon, I guess, of high school, which has which translates to college as well. So you're going to hear students talk about AP, advanced placement. Advanced placement courses are governed by the College Board. These are high school courses. They are not college courses. We will talk more about that. But AP courses are the highest high school courses we offer in those subject areas. Students will take a standardized AP exam in May at the end of that class, with the opportunity and the potential to maybe earn college credit from said schools. But we will talk more about that in just a few minutes. Honors courses, these are high school courses as well that just move at a faster pace than regular courses in that subject area. College Credit Plus is where students can begin in 7th grade through seniors, where they can take college courses while in high school. And we will talk more about that as well. The College Board is an independent company that manages SAT, PSAT, and AP classes and AP exams. The PSAT, which students will take the 10th grade version as a sophomore, and then they have an opportunity to take the PSAT as a junior. The junior test is what's used for the National Merit Scholarship competition. ACT is a separate company that manages the ACT test and all of that data. Super scoring, you will hear me talk about super scoring a lot and how various colleges will super score the ACT and SAT. A school like Ohio State, they do not super score. So they will always use a student's highest ACT or SAT score. So let's say a student takes the ACT 3 times, scores a 26, a 26, and a 27. Ohio State will say students have earned a 27. But a school like Miami of Ohio, Case Western, or even Johns Hopkins, they super score these tests. So they may say that same student has a 28, 29, or even a 30 on the ACT. And the reason why they can do that is they will take the highest English score from one test, the highest math score from a different test, highest science, and highest reading score to create a super score composite. And that's very important to know. That changes the overall score for getting into various colleges, as well as scholarship opportunities. Scheduling visits. It's important anytime that students and parents are going to visit a college campus that they go through the Office of Admissions. Kids can go to campus all the time and walk around, visit siblings and friends on campus. By doing that, though, the university has no idea that the student has been there. And colleges like to track all contacts that they've had with students. And that's where a thing called demonstrated interest is involved in the application process. Colleges, as they're reading applications, they also have to decide how interested is the student in their school. And they do that by looking at all of the different contacts. Contacts can be from scheduling visits on campus to meeting with reps at college fairs, meeting with reps that come to each of the 3 high schools as well. And so colleges track all of that. So it's important that students and families schedule their college visits through the Office of Admissions, which you can do that by going to a school's website. So financial aid is something that parents do not need to worry about now. They will be filling out the FAFSA, the free application for federal student aid after October 1st of a student's senior year. This year, we've probably read about and heard about on the news about the mess that FAFSA is. Hopefully, by the time your kids become seniors, they've worked through all of these changes and all of these issues that they've had. But FAFSA is not filled out by the parents and students until the student's senior year. There are some colleges out there, especially the private schools, that will ask for a second document to create a financial aid package for students. and that's called a CSS profile. Every year, I will have a financial aid meeting for our students and families, typically the last week of September. And so by October 1st, our students and families are ready to go. They have all of the information that they need to be able to fill out those forms. So when students and parents fill out the FAFSA, they will get back an SAI, the Student Aid Index. This is also the information that is given to all of the colleges that students have filled out applications to. And so that is what's used to create the financial aid package for each of those schools. Now, one thing that students can do, though, and parents, they can start looking at college costs. And I use various schools as a perfect example that when they see the price tag for schools, parents start to get just a little nervous. On every school's website, by law, it has to be within 2 clicks of the homepage. There's a thing called a net price calculator. So you can put in basic information about a student, you put in basic information about the family assets, and it'll give you an estimate of what the true cost might be at that school. And it will be very different than the cost that you see on a school's website. So this is something that students can use as well. So what are colleges looking for? You're going to hear the term holistic review a lot. And so they're going to look at students with a broad brush. At no time is a student in Hilliard or any other school district compared directly with a different student, or is the transcript or application set down next to each other. That never happens. Students are going to be looked at inside of the context of their own situation. They're going to look at their weighted GPA. Some colleges will ask for an unweighted GPA. Many colleges out there will create a new GPA for students. So as they do look at students and they see a GPA, they're all on the same scale. They're going to look at students volunteer. They're going to look at their grades. They're going to look at their leadership. What kind of school activities are they a part of? What type of outside community organizations have they been a part of? Do they have leadership roles in all of them? And what kind of demonstrated interest have they shown for those schools? All of those things are very important. They're going to look at their grades. They're going to look at the classes that students have taken compared to what we offer. And so that's why sometimes students might get in to a college that might not have the educational background that maybe some of our students have, because they come from a school district that might not offer a lot of honors or AP courses. So students will be looked at in the context of their own situation. Students can create a 4-year plan. This is what they can do now. So on all 3 of our high school websites, under the counselor icon, if there's a drop down that says college information, that takes students and parents to my webpage. I actually have a 4-year college plan checklist that is right there, as well as videos and my podcast and all kinds of other links to help students with this, finding a place that has all of this information. They should start to create a plan on what clubs that they're going to join, where might they volunteer, where they might get a job as a sophomore, junior, and senior. What type of leadership roles can they take advantage of? They also have a perfect control of their schedule, making sure they're taking strong courses, but also having a mix of strong courses and courses that they are interested in as well. So let's talk about options for students to potentially earn college credits while in high school. So AP courses, advanced placement courses, which is governed by the College Board. So let's make sure we understand what an AP course is. An AP course is the highest high school course that we offer in that subject area. It is not a college course. AP courses is not a college course. Students do not earn college credit for taking an AP course. Students do not earn a college credit for taking an AP exam. The AP exam is given to students in May, and students earn a score between 1 and 5. That's what they have. They have a score. Then the college they choose to go to after they graduate from high school, those colleges will get students AP scores. And then each of those universities have their own policy on what they may give credit for from their university based on those scores. Schools like Ohio State will give credit for 3s, 4s, and 5s on AP exam. Some colleges will only give credit for 4s and 5s. Some colleges may only give credit for a score of a 5. So students cannot pass an AP exam. They cannot fail an AP exam. They just get a score between 1 and 5. And it's important that they understand that. They have not earned any college credit until they go to a college, and that college may give them credit for their own classes based on that score. We offer multiple AP courses, AP exams that students can begin to take during their sophomore year. Benefits for an AP class. AP classes look very strong on a high school transcript. Over 3,200 colleges all over the country will offer credit for AP scores. Locally, we give students an extra point on their GPA, so we give them a weighted GPA. Students can earn a 5-point A. For an honors course, they get an extra 0.5 on their GPA for that course. So they can get a 4.5 A. Okay. That's very different than students taking College Credit Plus courses. College Credit Plus courses are when students are taking a college course while in high school that they will also get high school credit for. Students are eligible to begin taking college courses in grades 7 through 12. Students must apply and be accepted to that college to be able to take those classes. College Credit Plus classes do transfer out of state, just like with AP, and every college has their own policy on when they will give credit for AP scores. For College Credit Plus, every university in the country has their own policy on accepting transfer credits as well. Students earn high school credit for taking these college courses. By law in the state of Ohio, college courses and those grades must show up on the high school transcript. Those grades must be matched to what will show up on the college transcript as well. It's important to understand parents don't have access to college instructors and or those grades. So it's important that the parents are working with the student and the student allows them to have access to their portal so they can share those grades in the progress with them. More about CCP students. We have over 800 students this year taking college courses while in high school. Last year, Hilliard City Schools spent over $1 million paying for students' tuition and books. This is state mandated. We don't have any choice on that, but Hilliard City Schools really supports our students who would like to do that. If students fail a college course, or if they drop a course after the second week, students and parents will have to pay for those courses. Again, College Credit Plus courses do transfer out of state. It is up to every institution to create their own policy on what they will accept as transfer credit. So which one is better? AP or CCP. Neither one is better. They're just very different paths for students. Whichever path is best for that student is best for them. Okay. If students or parents would like to contact me, again, I'm the college counselor for Hilliard City Schools. I have an office in all 3 of our high schools. And so if students or parents would like to meet with me, feel free to send me an email at tom_woodford@hboe.org. Every week, once students get to high school, students and parents will get a weekly college news email from me that will outline deadlines, upcoming meetings, articles about college admissions, and things like that. Feel free to follow me on Twitter, X, @Woodford_Tom. So I'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch this video. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Thank you. Bye-bye.